Guys, today I have some journaling pages to share with you. These pages are slightly different to my normal journaling pages that I share because these are ones that I've done in the past for Craft Stash. So I was on the Craft Stash design team for a year. I think it was exactly a year. I recently left the Craft Stash design team. There were a few reasons for that, but mainly they're focusing more on card making, so they just don't need me as much. But in the time that I was doing projects for Craft Stash, I created quite a few different journaling pages with loads of different supplies that they stock. These are mock pages, so they're kind of like pretend journaling pages. I printed off photos from my past, I dated them with different dates to when they're actually taken. I put them together more to show how to use the products rather than showing or documenting a certain event. The photos I used are all mine, they're all photos from my life, but they're just dated funny. I've used the same one in multiple pages. You'll get an idea of what I mean when I start showing you the pages. But yeah, I will mark this video as an ad because obviously I will have some affiliate links down below. So any of the products that I've used in these journaling pages, I'll try and find and leave a link below for you. I'm not going to describe every single page, but I will try and give as much information on each page as possible. I think this was the first one. I'll go through this one first because this is the first one that I completed. One of the journals that I did do, I sent into them because they used it to show on TV on Hochanda, so I don't have that one anymore, they have it, but these ones I still have. So this first page was using some of the everyday journaling stickers. Obviously they were more planner based, so I wanted to create a planner sort of page, so I set up a weekly spread, I created a goals page, and I also used the habit tracker. So this was a stamp that they had in the set. It was a little frustrating that it didn't obviously fit the right way up on the journaling inserts, but it works really well this way. It also had a kind of shadow stamp in the set, so you could stamp a perfect square in each of the boxes. And then the rest of these I think are all journaling pages. So these are all me using the products for journaling rather than planning or card making or anything else. So again, these two pages were the everyday journaling collections. This was everyday journaling. I liked this collection because they had a load of like daisy stickers and flowers and stuff, so those are always really easy to use in journaling. I also loved the Sassy crafting collection by Emma Jewel. I think both of these collections, Everyday Journaling and the Sassy Crafting collections, they are finishing, so a lot of that will have offers on. If you want to get your hands on it, now is probably the time because they won't be restocking it. I think this one was her food one, and this was like the disco-y one she did. I love this stamp. This was like a little sparkly star stamp, which is just such a like easy way to put a little busyness behind a photo. See here I've just put the stamp and then I've put a die cut on top of it, and then over here I've just like stamped it down the page and then popped my photo on it. Again, this is the disco-y collection. I think I mixed the disco-y collection with the food collection on these pages. Again, I've used one of the stamps to kind of make a little background down the page. This was more of her food collection, so there were a lot of food puns in this collection and also pizza, so definitely top marks from me. You can't go wrong with pizza and food puns. I very fittingly had a photo of a donut or a couple of donuts from years ago, like I think this was before I moved up north. Obviously that's a photo of me and Jack from way back, but it was really ideal for this page, and using the little donut stickers and ephemera, and this little die cut says "I'm sorry for what I said when I was hungry," which is me to a T. So yeah, I could definitely relate to the things in this collection, which is why I really liked it. This again is the Everyday Journaling collection, and then this was from one of the other Everyday Journaling collections. So this was more like travel-y themed. So there was a lot of stickers that said like adventure and go travel. It was a mix of this like vintagey, and then it also had a more colourful hot air balloon themed collection. So some of the pages I focused on just using the vintage theme, and some of them just the hot air balloons, and also on some of them I mixed them together. Again, I've used the same donut photo here. This is what I mean by I reuse photos, so like I'd use the same photos for different pages. Some of the pages I created to journal on, so I left space, and some of them I did like this where I just kind of created just like one feature in the middle of the page. Again, this used the hot air balloon sort of collection. Here I kind of mixed them together, so I used some of the stamps from the more vintagey collection and mixed them with the hot air balloons. Here I created a bit of a different page. They had this stamp which had like a little list situation going on, so I created a kind of to-do list page as if you were packing to go on holiday. I don't know if you can hear the cows in the backfield, but There's a lot of mooing going on and I'm trying to not talk when they're mooing, but there might be the odd moo that gets through. So I'm sorry if you can hear that, but I live on a farm, so it's to be expected really. So that is that first insert. So carrying on from that, I have more from these two collections. This again is that vintagey style. I think I used the exact same photo for this. Yeah. So there's 2 pages with the same photo, using the same collection but just different looking pages. I had pretty much these 2 collections to work with for about 2 or 3 months or so. I didn't get any new product when COVID happened, so I had to kind of just work with what I had. So I did get to work with these collections quite a bit, and also it kind of got to the point where I was like, I'm running out of ideas of how to use these differently, because I had filled almost 2 journals with the same products. I can definitely vouch for the fact that you can get a decent amount of pages out of the collections because I created quite a few journaling pages with them. I also got into using inks as well, which is something I've never really used before. There was stencils and stuff in these collections, so I did want to give those a go. So to start with, I kind of just used it in the background just to add a little bit of colour to complement the die cuts and stuff. I then got a load of new products to use in my pages, so these were more Christmassy themed, and it was like midsummer when I was creating these. It was like July, August time. I had a few sets of die cuts, which I don't tend to use die cuts in my own journals just because of the time side of it. It takes a lot longer to create the page. I'm someone who just likes using stuff that I have to hand, like my ephemera box, stuff like that. But every now and again I do use die cuts. This one I used the holly and berry die cut, and here I used a load of stars as well. I was also sent the Alice in Teal collection, which was very fun to use. I really enjoyed using this one. I was a little bit skeptical at the beginning because I like the traditional Alice in Wonderland colours, but the way that they'd combined this with the gold, it just worked really nicely. These were basically 2 big paper pads. So I had one in 8x8, I think. Or was it 6x6? I can't remember. One was a smaller size and one was 12x12, but in it had papers, it had cutaway pages so you can cut things out of them. So it had like all the die cuts, all of the ephemera, all of the paper, all of the worded bits and pieces all in a paper pad. You didn't have to buy like separate ephemera, separate die cuts, anything to go along with it. It was all in the paper pad. So these were all made with either the 12x12 or the smaller size. I think it was 8x8. I can't quite remember, but it was a smaller sized paper pad, and I made all of these pages with them. And this was probably one of my favourites. I like the busyness of it. I do tend to block off a lot of my pages, so I'll have like a section at the bottom, section at the top, section in the middle, but this was all like a bit like mismatchy, jumbly. I also popped the hat on top of a photo of myself. I then did these pages, which again, this is all using those same paper pads. I was only sent one of each. I wasn't sent tons. These were all the pages that I made using just those. This page has decided to detach itself, so we'll just work with that. But yeah, these pages were using the stencils and a few different collections that I got. I used this background paper and a stencil and ink, and then I used a stamp which was black and white, and I coloured it in with a pink and kind of like tealy mint colour, so it went with the background down here a bit better. Again, I used the stencils on these pages with the ink. I feel like if you added writing on top of these, you could still read it pretty well. It's not too busy, but it adds something in the background so it's not just blank. Again, here I used some more of the Christmas collections with some of the stamps and the die cuts, and then I went back to creating some more Alice pages. I did really enjoy using this collection. I think that's all I did in this journal. Yeah, I finished that there. I then have this one which has a couple more pages in. This was using a Seaside collection. It was more aimed at card makers, so this was actually a more difficult page to create. All of the phrases and stuff on the stamps were more like things you'd put on cards rather than in journals. These pages, again, I used a collection that was more aimed at card making, but it worked out alright. I have this one that says be your own kind of beautiful. This page says fabulous friend, and it has a picture of me and Chloe. I used a lot of pictures of my friends in these journals. This was from that same collection, so this says life is short, buy the shoes. This one says be the girl that decided to go for it. And then here I went back to using the more Seaside collection. I had a go at colouring in some of the stamps, which was actually really fun, but like the die cuts, it is so much more time consuming. I understand that people do it if they're making cards because you're making like a card and that's like the main element, but there's so many little bits and pieces that go into a journaling page. I feel like it just takes a lot longer, so that's why I don't tend to do it. But I was really happy with how it turned out when I coloured them in. I used my Pro markers and Everblend markers. Pro markers are by Winsor, I think, Winsor & Newton, and the Everblend are from Arteza, but they both worked really well and they blended with each other pretty well too. And then that is the last page that I created, which was a little half page with some stamps, and again I coloured in the bag. So those were all of the journaling pages that I've done over the past, I'm not going to say year, I'd say these are probably from like just before COVID, and then during the summer, and then obviously up until now. Again, minus the one that I obviously sent into them. As I said at the start, I will have some affiliate links down below. My two favourites the whole time I was working in the Craft Stash design team were definitely the Sassy Crafting by Emma Jewel collections, and also the Everyday Journaling collections by Helen Colebrook. They do both have Instagram, so I'll pop those on the screen now if you want to go and give them a follow. Both of them are genuinely lovely ladies, and they do lots and lots of crafty things that they share over on their Instagrams. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed having a look through these journaling pages. Maybe they gave you a little bit of inspiration. As always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to my patrons. At the end of each video I'm going to start putting a little picture, a little slide with a little thank you to all my patrons. I used to handwrite this every month, but it's getting to the point where it's becoming very time consuming, and if I muck up one name then it kind of ruins the whole page that I'm writing out. So instead I'm changing it to a public thank you at the end of every video. So if you're a patron of mine, your name will be up there as a thank you so much for supporting my channel and what I do. I obviously appreciate every single one of you who watches my videos, but also my patrons are there every single month giving me that extra little boost, so I want to give them a special little thank you. But yeah, if you've got any questions then let me know down below, and I will see you in my next video.